Hey everyone, welcome to Primary Market Chatter, brought to you by Sunday Investing. This is our July second week IPOs edition. It's only going to be Rohit and me today, as Yash and Tanmay have other things to do. They have decided it's important for them to enjoy on the Sunday rather than to review IPOs. But yeah, just kidding. We will figure out. We are running on a slightly difficult schedule right now, where all of us have different priorities. हम सबकी priorities थोड़ी सी clash कर रही हैं. So we'll see when we want to come back to all of us together. But for now, what we are doing is हमने आज we'll be talking about four IPOs, and then the remaining four we'll probably do tomorrow or day after, so that we kind of close the IPOs for this week. That's the rough idea. But before we get started, I just want to thank everyone for joining, and also the last week for listings was pretty good with HDB अच्छा list हुआ, Ellen very good अच्छा list हुआ, संभव surprisingly बहुत ही ज़्यादा अच्छा list हुआ, and then didn't do much. But yeah, the listings have been kind last week. It seems that there's some flavor back in primary markets, so which is good for all of us. And with that, maybe what we can also expect is कि आगे भी अच्छी listings हो. But before that, just want to highlight a couple of things before we get started, which we always do when we are not SEBI registered. So definitely do your due diligence. आप अपना diligence खुद से कर लें, and do not take anything that we say as a qualified opinion. It's just us having an opinion. For the lack of a better thing, just think of any other person having an opinion, and then आप अपना call खुद से लें. Talk to a financial advisor if you want to, and then take a informed decision. Second thing, if you haven't joined our YouTube channel, please go ahead and do that. ऊपर मैंने लिंक में दो links भी paste किए हैं. One is with respect to the YouTube channel, and second is हमने Chemkart India, जिसको हम आज cover भी करेंगे, उसके promoters के साथ एक interview किया था. So if you want to go ahead and check the interview with the promoter as well, if you want to understand about Chemkart and what the company is planning to do as such, definitely वो भी करिए. With that, let me just set up the agenda for the day. आज चार IPOs की बात करेंगे. We'll start with Cryogenic, उसके बाद मेटा इन्फोटेक करेंगे, उसके बाद केमकार्ट करेंगे, एंड देन वील एंड अप विद टीएफएस. टीएफएस शुड बी अ लॉन्गेस्ट डिस्कशन बिकॉज बहुत सारे व्यूज हैं टीएफएस में, बट द अदर थ्री वील ट्राई एंड कवर स्लाइटली क्विकली, ताकि हम स्पेस को भी क्विकली कर पाए. बट बिफोर दैट एक और चीज जो मैं सबसे पहले हाईलाइट कर देना चाहता हूँ बिफोर गेटिंग स्टार्टेड. नाउ ऑल द आईपीओस व्हिच आर कमिंग ऑन एसएमई आर आल्सो अंडर न्यू एसएमई रूल्स. सो अगर आपको अभी तक नहीं पता हो तो बेसिकली अब से प्रोपोर्शनेट नहीं होगा अलॉटमेंट. बेसिकली जो पहले ऐसा होता था कि एचएनआई में जो जितना बिट करता था उसको उतना अलॉटमेंट के चांस मिलते थे. बेसिकली जितना शक्कर डालोगे मिठाई उतनी मीठी होगी, बट अब ऐसा नहीं है. इट्स वेरी सिमिलर टू मेन बोर्ड. वहां पे जैसे आप बिग एचएनआई स्मॉल एचएनआई डालते हैं, यहाँ पे भी वैसा ही कंसेप्ट होगा. बिग रिटेल भी चेंज हो गया है. यहाँ पे रिटेल बेसिकली एक लॉट से बढ़ के दो लॉट हो गया है, विच आई डोंट ऑनेस्टली लाइक, क्योंकि अलॉटीज वैसे ही कम होते हैं एसएमई में. नाउ इट इज बिकम इवन फर्दर लॉटरी, बट इट इज व्हाट इट इज. वी जस्ट नीड टू लिव विद इट. सो रिटेल बेसिकली आपको अगर रिटेल लगाना है तो दो लॉट लगाना है, और अगर अलॉटमेंट मिलेगा तो भी दो लॉट मिलेगा. एसएचएनआई लगाना है किसी को भी तो तीन लॉट लगाना है, अलॉटमेंट मिलेगा तो भी तीन लॉट मिलेगा. बिग एचएनआई लगाना है तो वो ऐसा अमाउंट देख के लगाना पड़ेगा कि वो 10 लाख से ऊपर हो. सो इट कैन बी 7 लॉट्स और 8 लॉट्स डिपेंडिंग ऑन कि एक लॉट का साइज क्या है. कुछ लॉट्स 120 की भी होती हैं, कुछ लॉट 150 की भी होती हैं. सो 7 to 8 लॉट्स का कॉम्बिनेशन बनेगा, वो अप्लाई करेंगे, उसमें आपको तीन लॉट मिलेंगे. लाइक whoever is the lucky few people will get 3 lots of allotment. आई पर्सनली फील कि उससे प्रेशर बढ़ेगा, क्योंकि nobody wants to hold, at least like most of the people don't want to hold all the allotments, right? 3 lots is a lot of allotment. End of the day, it's like 4.5 lakhs worth of allotments in one share, which might not be the best thing for a single person, and they might want to diversify. तो इसलिए listings पे थोड़ा प्रेशर बनेगा, but the also good part is कि listing पे hopefully अच्छा like मिल जाना चाहिए शेयर, अगर किसी को देखना हो तो. सो दैट्स माई थॉट ऑन द होल rules purpose. If you have any questions on the rules specific questions, then there are two other things. Definitely post them in the chat as well. एक दो और changes हैं छोटे छोटे, like 4 बजे से पहले ही आप bid कर सकते हो, अब 5 से पहले नहीं कर सकते. I think कट ऑफ भी नहीं डाल सकते हो आप. Anyways, by practice do not put cut off. It makes no sense, right? आप जो भी higher side of, अगर आपको bid करना ही है तो जो भी हायर कट ऑफ है उस पे ही बिड करें. देन जो फिक्स प्राइस इश्यूज होंगे वो कैसे काम करेंगे, वी आर स्टिल येट टू फाइंड आउट, बिकॉज इट्स वेरी कंफ्यूजिंग, राइट? क्योंकि क्यूआईबी का प्रोपोर्शनेट होगा और एचएनआई का 10 लाख का मैक्सिमम कैप होगा. तो इफ दैट इज द केस तो फिर लाइक फिक्स प्राइस इश्यूज में कैसे काम होगा वो अभी एग्जैक्टली आइडिया नहीं है. विल इट बी फर्दर ब्रोकन इनटू small, big and QIB. Let's see. Let's wait for more clarity. Smarten करके जो IPO आ रहा है इस बार वो fixed price है, and then CFF Fluid जो FPO आ रहा है वो भी fixed price है. So we'll see as and when more clarity comes. But yeah, that is what we had in terms of the rules as of now. इसके बाद मैं agenda set कर देता हूँ. Like जैसा मैंने बताया, तो सबसे पहले cryogenic से start करेंगे. So let me quickly talk about Cryogenic and set up Cryogenic. Incorporated in 1997, company manufactures and assembles high-quality measurement and filtration equipment for industries such as oil and gas, chemicals, and related fluid sectors. The company's product portfolio includes baskets, strainers, prover tanks, and dosing skid. IPO की बात करूं तो बहुत ही छोटा IPO है, अराउंड 17.7 CR का IPO है, ऑल ऑफ विच इज अ फ्रेश इशू. और कंपनी जो है वो मार्केट कैप 67 करोड़ पे अपना आईपीओ ला रही है. सो बेसिकली कंपनी 30% टाइप डाइल्यूट कर रही है, जस्ट अंडर 30%. एंड इट्स अ वेरी स्मॉल आईपीओ, राइट? आउट ऑफ 17 CR ऑल्सो, लाइक देयर इज एंकर ऑफ लाइक 3 CR और समथिंग, एंड देन मार्केट मेकर है अराउंड 1 CR का. सो द फ्री फ्लोट इज वेरी लेस. फ्री फ्लोट इज लाइक 13 CR इफ आई एम नॉट रॉन्ग, समथिंग लाइक दैट. विल अंडरस्टैंड व्हेन रोहित टॉक्स अबाउट द कंपनी. FY 25 के फाइनेंशियल्स की बात करूं तो रेवेन्यू 34 करोड़ का है और पैट जो है वो 6.12 करोड़ है. सो 67 करोड़ मार्केट कैप, 6.12 करोड़ पैट. इट्स लाइक एट 11 PE, which seems optically very low for a capital goods company, at least on paper. If you compare it with PS, we'll try and understand what are the nitty-gritties. But yeah, the LM is Beeline, which seems to enjoy a decent repute in the market, is one of the top tier LMs. But yeah, with that, maybe over to you, Rohit, to talk about Cryogenic OGS.
Thanks, Manish, again for covering half the company. I'll keep this one short because, it's a small company, small issues, and not a lot of details, but I'll just cover those 3-4 important things and you guys can take your call. So, as Manish said, they are a manufacturer of fairly niche products. There are two main products they sell. One is different types of skids. I'll explain what that is. And the second is something called an air eliminator. These are products that get used mainly in oil and gas, but in any, industry where water or liquid, some kind of fluid is used, these products will be used. A skid is basically a mobile setup of a combination of pipes, valves, measurement devices, etc., that can easily be moved. So the main idea of a skid is it can be moved, which is why it's called a skid. And what they do, they make these tanker skids, which are used to move fluids from, say, a storage terminal into, say, a tanker, which is a very easy way to look at it. So let's say if you are in a petrol pump or a fuel terminal or some kind of depot, maybe a refinery, in all of these cases, you'll have to move the fluid from one place to another. And that machinery, that mechanical equipment is what these guys make. So the segments they serve are, they include oil and gas, but also any other place where you have liquids, say the water sector itself is one, liquor sector, LPG. So all of these are segments that they serve, and they're very, 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 I'd say A-grade clients, clients like Honeywell, Adani, GE. So all of the big dogs in this segment or in these segments use their products. So it's kind of a sign that what they make at least is of a good quality. But now one interesting catch here is, and this is not entirely clear to me also, but one catch is that most of the material that they get is actually sourced from the customers themselves. And in one of the interviews, he mentioned that that's about 70% of the raw material comes from the customers, which kind of suggests, so on one side, he says that they do a lot of design. It's their ability to design that is their sort of strength. And they do have, I think, 4 or 5 employees just on that function. So on one side, he says design is a big thing. The other side, he says that the raw material actually doesn't even come, which means they are not sourcing the material. It is something that the client is giving to them, which means the client is kind of designing, right? So that is one thing that I found a little bit at odds, in which case it looks like their work is a little bit like job work today and not really hardcore core manufacturing. So that's one thing I couldn't get full clarity on. But one thing that is mentioned here is that the reason that they're raising the IPO funds is for working capital. So because they get a lot of the material from the clients, they don't have to sort of pay for them. Their working capital needs are very limited today. But they're raising these IPO funds for that working capital so they can start sourcing these products directly, design with a lot more control. And this is obviously something that will improve margins too. They have an order book of around 30 crore, with another 50 crore tendered, which they claim has an 80% win rate. So let's say about 60, 70 crore of orders they should have. And this includes a lot of projects which they're saying where they've bid in a way that they control this sort of manufacturing end to end. So it looks kind of feasible, but yeah, I would say it's a bit of a transition business from a job work to a, pure play manufacturing business. This is a slightly old company. It's been around for almost 18, 20 years. The scale now finally to about 33 odd crore. It's not I would say a rapid growth business, but the promoter, from what I could understand, seemed decent. He seemed honest. He seemed capable. And it does look like he wants to take this business to the next level. You guys be the judge of that at your end, personal ends as well. Like I said, the numbers are decent. They grew about 33% this year to about 33 crore. The PAT growth was little less than last year's in terms of growth, because last year they had much lower tax. They had some tax write-off. This year's tax rate, I think, is the correct tax rate. But the main thing is that they've had 3 continuous years of very, very healthy EBITDA, 25% EBITDA. So there's not been any random IPO bump, and B, a job work business will not get a 25% EBITDA. So there's a little bit of this conflict. I'm not able to tell where this sits, but I am, because of their margin profile, and it's a consistent margin profile. It's not an IPO year margin profile. And the fact that they are making fairly niche products, I am more in the camp that they actually do design. There'll be certain standard components that they will get from the clients, but there is a component of design and execution from the rest of the balance sheet and rest of the P&L. So that's my read, at least. I mean, you guys can make your own judgments on this. Their cash flows, their balance sheets are very solid. It's a zero debt company. And based on their working capital projections, they're saying that they will do about 50 crore of revenue this year in FY26, which is a 50% jump. And I think, again, that seems very possible given that they have a 30 crore order book with another 40 crore or so to come very, very soon. So one question for me is on whether the promoter has been ambitious enough so far. 30 crore revenue company is no mean feat. It has also taken quite a long time to get there. And for many companies, the IPO is that start of that switch to sort of go from being a bootstrapped, slow growing company to to that sort of fast growth company that really makes a difference. And I'm hoping that that is the case for this company too. The company is coming at 11x, which is very cheap for an industrial cap goods company that also has visibility for 50% growth next year. I personally can see this company trade at 15 to 20x. I will apply for sure. The anchor book was also not bad. And of course, you have Beeline and SpreadX, which is a very safe combination. As Manish was saying, the chance of allotment, unfortunately, in this one, it's going to be a test of this new, the new allotment scheme. I've seen so many numbers floating around about how HNI itself will be 1 by 600, 1 by 700. I mean, if it's like that, it's going to be the whole IPO application game itself, I think, will go for a toss, at least for these small issues. If a small issue is at 1 by 600, 700, people will kind of give up, I feel. So let's see. I would like to see where the numbers end up. It will not be steady state, I think, because people will, that number will reduce if the allotment chances are so low. But I personally, for now, will definitely be applying. I can see this company listing 50, 60% up, maybe even more. If the market conditions are ripe, it can list 90% also. So let's see where it goes. But at IPO price, it looks very safe to me.
I was talking to Yash yesterday, and I told him the same thing, that this is one issue where, like, it would be almost virtually impossible to get allotment, but then everybody would want to buy the lottery ticket just in the hope to get rich per se, because if someone's getting 2, 3 lots of this, and there's a very high probability that flippers would be active in this issue, right? Simply because of the low liquidity and the huge lot size, right? Every lot is like 3,000 shares, and end of the day, there's only so many lots which are available for trading, right? So, definitely go ahead and push your luck. Try and see if you can get allotment. I'll also be applying. No questions on that. I still need to figure out कि meta और इसमें किसको prioritize करना है. Maybe I will ask you this as well, Rohit, later. But before that, one question from my side. To start with, does this company have anything to do with temperature controlled equipment, etc.? Because from the name cryogenic, it just seems like it is into building cryogenic tanks or something, or at least some parts of those tanks, or like is it just a name which is there, and then they just do normal these kits, etc., which you spoke about?
Yeah, it's the latter. There is nothing to do with cryogenics. The cryogen is the way you think of it from a ultra low temperature stuff. I think what he mentioned in one of the interviews is they named it because they also deal with low temperature systems, as in liquids that are stored at low temperatures, and so it came from there. I think it's good marketing. I'll give that to him that he named the company very well for IPO listing pop, I would say. So be it. But yeah, there's nothing otherwise in the name to suggest that they do very complex cryogenic equipment of any kind. They do normal skids. This company could have been called something else altogether and would still make probably more sense than calling it Cryogenic OGS.
Understood. And then Sachin has mentioned a comment where he's mentioned that the design, by design, they mean the 2D, 3D design which they make on software. They tend to do that and then get the uh, product from the material from the client, and then they just help them bring that up to like the 3D form, is my understanding.
Possible. If there is some clarity on that, I will also try and see if I can get something. But there is no place for us, at least, to get in the RHP or any of the interviews to get absolute clarity on that. And this is just based on what I could gather. Whatever I've said is based on what I could gather.
Got it. One last question from my end. Where do you expect this in retail category and in HNI category? Like what subscriptions are you expecting?
Yeah, I am extremely bearish. I feel this will be 1 by 600, 700 minimum in HNI and probably 1,000 in retail. I have a feeling
Wow.
everyone will try their luck. But let's see. Let's see. It's just that, remember, we've had retail subscriptions for small issues at 500, 600x. I mean, and that this is exactly the same as that. It's just that now people are getting 3 lots. So it's the same as an old retail subscription that was 500x. In the new rules, that would be 1 by 1500x. So probably people will see this 1000x number and stop applying at some point. But I don't see why this will not be 1000x. Because that is
Maybe
the same
because
as an old 330x.
no, that's because like honestly, like people have limited money, right? And if you're applying for like 6 accounts, 1 lot, now if you have to do two, there's a possibility that you'll apply three, right? Because like
See the number
how
of
would
people
you?
who were applying 2 lakh applications in the old this thing in the old style. I think these for a 17 crore issue,
Hmm.
getting to 1,000, which is the old 300x, is nothing. It's absolutely nothing. So I am expecting it to be closer to 800,000. At some point, people will give up from a probability standpoint. That's all. Uh, and I can imagine people earlier, guys who used to apply, say 10 lakhs, say 15 lakhs, 20 lakhs from one account. Now they can only do 10 lakhs from one account. They will start splitting it. They will do some retails. They will do one BHNI and like 4 retails from the other accounts. I myself am an example. I used to apply one large from one account. Now I will split that up across multiple accounts. It won't reflect in how the old subscription used to be. So things will change. It will take a little bit of time for people to realize how the new set of new allotment scheme will lead to actual sort of stable subscriptions.
Got it. Yeah. In the interest of time, let's move forward and talk about Meta Infotech, just setting up the company. Incorporated in 1998, companies engaged in the business of cybersecurity solutions for various industries, including banking, IT, and manufacturing. It offers services such as consulting, implementation, and sustenance, focusing on protecting and maintaining the integrity of information and systems. So cybersecurity company which is bringing its IPO, just setting up the IPO size, it's a big size IPO, 80 crore IPO, out of which 60 crore is a OFS. Just 20 crore का इसमें fresh issue है, which is going into the company, and other than that 60 crore the promoter is taking a partial exit from the company. In terms of the market cap, it's coming at like 304 crores of market cap. So at like they're raising 20 crore fresh, 60 crore taking out from the company at a market cap of 304 crore, but diluting like close to 25% of the company. And then there was some pre-IPO. So the after IPO figure comes to like somewhere around 70%, which the company will the promoters will continue to enjoy in the company. In terms of FI financials of FY25 की अगर मैं बात करूं तो कंपनी का रेवेन्यू था 220 crore और पैट है 14.5 crores. So the margins are like 6 to 7% margins is what the company operates on at a PAT level. And अगर market cap से अगर divide करूं PAT को तो it's coming at like 21 PE FY25. 21 के PE पे आ रही है, which seems fully valued, at least for IT company, not so much for cyber security. It's up to where the market kind of thinks this company goes in. In terms of the LM is Game Securities, which is a reputed LM and again enjoys a good repute in the market. At least in the last few issues where all the issues have done well. So just quickly talking about Heme Securities, एक बार Meta Infotech की एक बार quickly बात कर लेता हूँ. I'll kind of cover it quickly, but majorly what they do is that there are these cyber security suites or like softwares which they kind of import from vendors outside of India and then help install in big banks, etc. Of the world in India, and have majorly tier A clients where they work with, be it in banks, IT, or manufacturing, etc. And like majorly like you have a VPN. Like a lot of people would know what a VPN is. Basically, it just protects you in order to access the cloud from some other place. Similarly, there's something called the SaaS, which is Secured Access Service Edge. तो बेसिकली ये सिक्योर्ड एक्सेस सर्विस एज जो होता है इट्स बेटर देन वीपी अगेन very limited technical capability, so just be with me while I try and explain this and can be wrong, but yeah, from my understanding ये जो SaaS होता है secured access service edge very similar to VPN, but it's majorly used on cloud. and इसके जो सॉफ्टवेयर होते हैं वो Zscaler हो गया, उसके बाद Cisco हो गया, उसके बाद Netscope हो गया, ये सब कंपनीज बनाती हैं and then they kind of import these softwares and help them install it in India with different vendors, and they have multiple clients, and all of them are AAA listed clients. Like some of their clients include TCS, then I think a bank, I'm forgetting the name, maybe Axis Bank or something. So all of these clients is something which they work with, and majorly जहाँ पे भी workforce बड़ी होती है is where they kind of come in, help them set up the cyber security sort of a framework and help them install these softwares. जैसे कि इसमें मैं बात करूं तो एक one thing which was interesting was कि इनने in 2015 they did this for TCS, and at that moment of time it was the biggest SaaS installation across the world. Like 3.5 lakh employees के लिए उन्होंने ये installation किया था, which is a record in itself in terms of like how many people they did it for. But yeah, they have been in the industry for 15 plus years. They started with a normal IT company and then they pivoted to cybersecurity sometime in 2010 when they realized that the cybersecurity thing was heating up in the market. In terms of like अगर मैं बात करूं तो जैसा मैंने बताया कंपनी का 72% ऑफ ऑल रेवेन्यू, सो बेसिकली जैसा मैंने बताया 220 करोड़ का इनका रेवेन्यू है, इसमें से 157 करोड़ ऑफ रेवेन्यू इज फ्रॉम दैट सॉफ्टवेयर इंस्टॉलेशन ऑफ दैट सॉफ्टवेयर SaaS. And then these solutions form like solutions से इनका 83% revenue आता है, which is SaaS, database security, endpoint detection वगैरह, जो अलग अलग सॉफ्टवेयर होंगे, साइबर सॉल्यूशंस होंगे जो ये इंस्टॉल करते हैं. बेसिकली कहीं किसी का सॉफ्टवेयर लेके यहाँ पे इंडिया में इंस्टॉलेशन में हेल्प करते हैं उनके लिए. So जैसे ये SaaS है, that contributes to 72% of all business. Total 83% is this, and then the remaining 17% is through services which they sell, which includes like sustenance, PS is problem solving in a way. Like अगर किसी को ये specific software चाहिए उसके लिए और उसको ये पता नहीं कि भाई like कैसे मैं install करूं, so they will send their engineer and the engineer will kind of sit with them in order to brainstorm. So all of those services add up to like 17% of the cost. Majorly 83% is solution. The only problem is the company doesn't have any of its software as proprietary. Basically कंपनी क्या करती है, कहीं और से सॉफ्टवेयर लेती है और फिर यहाँ पे बेचती है. बाकी अगर मैं इंडस्ट्री की बाइफर्केशन करूँ तो जैसे मैंने बताया मोस्टली बैंक्स में लगते हैं ये सॉफ्टवेयर बिकॉज दे नीड टू बी वेरी सिक्योर्ड इन टर्म्स ऑफ देयर एनवायरनमेंट, राइट. सो 82% is with banking. Sorry, 72% is used in banking, 7% is used in cap goods. और order book की बात करता हूँ, इसमें surprisingly order book है, which was very interesting to read. But yeah, before that, let me kind of talk about some other things, which if you take away nothing else from from this meta infotech discussion, kind of take away this thing, जो इनका 220 करोड़ का रेवेन्यू है, उसमें से डोमेस्टिक रेवेन्यू इज लाइक 96%, 212 करोड़ इनने इंडिया में बेचा है, और 7 करोड़ इनने बाहर बेचा है। और अगर आप जैसे इनका इम्पोर्ट्स देखोगे, डिटेल्स ऑफ परचेज, क्योंकि ये सॉफ्टवेयर है, ये बेसिकली परचेज करते हैं फिर आगे रीसेल करते हैं, राइट? सो दे हैव इम्पोर्टेड लाइक 172 CR ऑफ सॉफ्टवेयर। जस्ट सॉफ्टवेयर कॉस्ट इन इटसेल्फ इज इंस्टॉलिंग इज 172 CR, जिसमें से इम्पोर्ट फॉर्म्स 86% ऑफ इट, 150 CR इनने इम्पोर्ट किया है और उसको आगे जाके बेच दिया है, विच इन इटसेल्फ जस्ट टेल्स यू दैट द कंपनी इन इटसेल्फ डजंट हैव अ मोट, इट इज अ installation focused company, which in itself is a big moat. I was listening to the promoter, like at least he feels that क्योंकि इसके साथ जो cyber security की employees हैं, there doesn't exist enough people who understand the sector, and he has his own training institutes through which he brings his own employees and is able to like take them to the client side, and the client kind of depends on them in order to install the software. So the people, according to him, are the biggest mode, because of which the clients can't do it directly by working with, let's say, a Cisco or what was the name of the other clients, like a Cisco or a Networks or someone like that directly. So that is where it kind of comes in. अब एक बार इसकी order book की बात करता हूँ, which is very interesting. So basically, although you would feel that installation is one time, but according to, and again from my understanding, since these softwares need retesting, and like it needs to be reconfigured every certain period of time. So every time that this retesting happens, and these are like SaaS softwares which have been signed through, let's say, for the lack of a better word, Cisco. तो जैसे Cisco ने 150 CR का ये sorry 12 CR, let's say, give an example, 12 CR का ये सॉफ्टवेयर उसने बेचा, सो उसने फिर आगे जो ये सॉफ्टवेयर है वो 13 CR का करके किसी एक बैंक को दिया है। तो every time that the renewal happens from the client, and it's a sticky platform, right, end of the day, so वो 12 to 13 CR का जो रेवेन्यू है वो ऑटोमेटिकली हर बार बुक हो जाएगा। सो इट डजंट नीड टू गो अहेड एंड फाइंड न्यू क्लाइंट्स टू इंस्टॉल दीज सॉफ्टवेयर एवरी टाइम, राइट, बिकॉज इट्स रीसेलिंग एंड इट हैज अ मार्जिन ऑन टॉप ऑफ दैट। सो द बेसिकली व्हाट द प्रमोटर सेड इज कि जैसे अभी मेरा 220 CR का रेवेन्यू है, सो द नेक्स्ट ईयर दैट आई स्टार्ट from day one, my revenue would be 205. I would have booked 205 from just the renewal of all the contracts, and then all I need to do is to be able to just generate the additional 40% or whatever target I am planning to do. In terms of the targets, from what I understand, there was a call on which he mentioned that he wants it to be a 500 CR top line company by FY29. So around 30% growth is what he is targeting. And he also mentioned that the cybersecurity industry is growing at like 15 to 16%, and we'll do double of that. So just by that logic, it seems that the company will do well. But again, one thing to remember is, end of the day, they don't have a proprietary software. So that's one risk which the business has. अब अगर मैं financials की बात करूं तो कंपनी का जो बैलेंस शीट है, it seems that it like थोड़ा सा right before IPO, the trade receivable have slightly increased, where like 22 करोड़ के trade receivable खड़े हुए हैं company पे, which is like a 9 CR jump from last year where they were 13 CR. But again, I'm assuming since it's in like the revenue has also increased from 152 crores to 220 crores, can be given a pass at that level. And अगर बस अब closing में if I talk about the company's financial performance, in the last 3 years company ने 109 crores का revenue किया था in FY23, which improved to 150 crores in FY24 and is now at 220 crores in FY25. Over 3 years the target is to take it to 500, which is a good jump over the current numbers. And bottom line has also been increasing. 6 crores in FY23, 10.5 crores in FY24, and 14.5 crores in FY25, and then it should follow that trajectory is what how I'll assume it to be. But again, it will always be a low margin business because the promoter is not claiming that he's doing anything exceptional. He's just reselling a few softwares along with providing support for that at a very high level. So that's one thing which you need, which one needs to remember in terms of what this company does. Having said that, अगर PE की बात करूं, so the company is coming, as I said, at 21 PE. इसके जो peers दिखाएं कंपनी ने, company has shown I think three peers for it. Let me just try and quickly pull it up. But basically Citrix एक peer दिखाया है, Tech Infosec एक peer दिखाया है, and then there was one more peer which the company Quick Heal Technologies करके peer दिखाया है. Citrix is trading at like 32 PE. Tech Infosec is at like 80-90 PE. But Tech Infosec is more of own proprietary products which they have built. So maybe that's a different league is how I'll think of it. This is more along the lines of Citrix. But I would assume that over a long term, that is where it should stabilize around that PE if it works well. But yeah, from my understanding, definite apply at IPO rates. Heme is a good LM, so would I think IPO price would definitely be protected. So apply and then hold till the momentum lasts, and then probably get out simply because of the unavailability, no differentiation in terms of the product. Had this company had its own product, जो वो install कर रही होती, some kind of that, then I would have been very interested in order to hold the company in long term. Without that, it's an installation company end of the day. So because of which I'm not looking to hold the company for long, but definitely would ride the wave if and when I can get allotment. I'm hoping कि मैं no retail बोलूँगा जय माता दी बोल के, so I'll at least get one thing. Get one. I'm really manifesting here, but yeah, let's see. In terms of like a couple of questions, is VG Infotech a peer of Meta? No, not at all. Very different segments. VG Infotech is makes its own products, and it's a different segment. वो banking में basically CBS बनाता है, core banking solutions बनाता है, जिसपे banking etc. reconciliation audit वगैरह होता है. This guy is in cyber security, helps with VPN, SASE जो मैंने बताया, ये सब सॉफ्टवेयर इंस्टॉल करने में मदद करता है. Then there is a question with respect to if it doesn't have any proprietary software, can't its customers directly approach the owners? So as I said, कि आप डायरेक्ट सिस्को से नहीं लगा सकते हो, क्योंकि उसमें क्या है कि ये बंदे प्रमोटर का बोलना है कि यार साइबर सिक्योरिटी चमकता ही इतने कम लोगों को है कि हमें ही चमकता है वो एंड ऑफ द डे, या फिर the company will always say कि let me have a person who can come and manage and problem solve for me as and when things go bad. Like there are a lot of companies which provide database solution support etc. Although they don't have database, right? Because they are the subject matter experts in this. So think of these guys as subject matter experts in cyber security SaaS. So anytime something goes off, they will come and replace it for them. Versus if something goes off for a client, it is very difficult. And end of the day, nobody wants to take a risk with cybersecurity, especially if you are a banking financial institution. Any changes in government policy software company? I don't see any changes which the company can import. But yeah, that is the questions which I have. Rohit, do you have anything to add on Meta, or we can move forward? That is the review.
Nothing more, man. You've covered it. We can move on.
Yep, I would definitely be applying to this issue. I will have to see how much I can apply because my funds have been taken away by Rohit. Uh, so we'll see how much I can apply, but I'll definitely be putting in some applications. That is with respect to Meta. Let me just now quickly move forward and talk about the third company, which is Chemkart. Before I cover Chemkart, just want to highlight कि हमने एक promoter interview भी किया है with respect to Chemkart, so which is in the pinned comment super. So if you haven't heard it, go ahead and listen to promoter's vision. Let us know in comments how you find it. And with that, and while you are at it, do subscribe to the channel as well. With that, let me move forward and set up Chemkart India. Incorporated in 2015, company is a distributor specializing in high quality food and health ingredients. It targets the B2B clients, providing products for manufacturing supplements like sports, health, vitamins, and protein. In setting up the IPO, it's a 80 crore IPO. So बड़ा size का IPO 64.4 crore fresh है, 15.6 crore type का OFS है इसमें भी. Market cap 300 crores पे IPO आ रहा है. So the promoters diluting like 29% again. FY25 के financials की बात करूं तो revenue 205 crores है. कंपनी ने जो पैट किया है वो अराउंड 24 करोड़ का पैट किया है. सो इट्स कमिंग एट लाइक 12 PE आई थिंक, एंड द पैट मार्जिन इज healthy, 10 to 11% PAT margin, especially for a B2B player. Maybe Rohit can highlight this more when he's talking about it. In terms of the LM is Smart Horizon Capital Advisors. So which is again a decent LM, not the best, but not the towards the end as well. But yeah, decent LM, Smart Horizon. With that, maybe Rohit, over to you to talk about Chemkart.
Thanks, Manish. So I'll explain this business quickly because this is a business of two parts. There is a pre-IPO and a post-IPO. And now it all depends on how you guys view your own personal gestation periods for this company. So as Manish said, they are a distributor/trader today. They source these high quality food and health ingredients. These are the bits that go into the final formulation that is finally sold, but it's the building blocks for that are used 100% in the nutraceutical space. So it is the segment, you will remember this company Influx that just listed very recently, like last couple of weeks ago. What Influx does is manufacture these final formulations and tablets and so on and so forth, or say the whey protein, for example. And what Chemkart would do is source some of the raw materials and the ingredients that an Influx needs from China and from other places, sort of source all the various ingredients that they need and provide them in bulk to an Influx. So that is, simply speaking, what Chemkart does today. They are a trading business only. Now that is what they are pre-IPO. So I'll just quickly cover that. When I say pre-IPO, that's what they've done now. They started this in 2015. They've gone from 2-3 crore to a 200 crore revenue in 10 years. That is fantastic, with no funds. I know they are a trading business, but generally even these companies to grow so fast require working capital. So they've done this very well. This is and these products, just to be clear, are not really made in India. From my understanding, I think 90% of what they source is from outside, and generally it is from China. So it's a little bit like what Shiv Texchem, which was again an IPO that came a few months ago. They also do the same thing, of course, for the chemicals industry, but very similar. They kind of have figured out a way to get these products from outside India and service the local demand for this. They also do some small blending processing for certain materials, but again, that is, for me, I don't think that really matters much. I think the main thing is that they have developed an expertise in this segment, that is in this nutraceutical segment through these ingredients, and they probably have developed this expertise for what they want to do next. So what they're doing, and I'll move to this basic post-IPO thing, is that they're raising this money to set up a manufacturing unit to make now, to do two things. One is to manufacture some of the ingredients that they source, as well as the final formulations and the tablets and so on, a lot like what, say, an Influx does. What advantage they have is that they had the foresight to take some land in this GNPT SEZ, which eliminates their import duty completely for anything that they want to export. So this makes their products extremely price competitive. You can either view this as better margins or ultimately better prices that they will use to service the export market. So they believe that there's a lot of business to be done in the Middle East, in Europe, in US as well. And whatever they have done over the last 2-3 years, including buying this land and all the approvals and process that they've gone through over the last 2-3 years, now is the time that'll pay off. This capacity, so for them to go from a trader to a manufacturer will take them 12 months. So they're definitely going to be a trader for all of FY26 as well, and probably a little bit of FY27, at which point they will convert from basically a trading to a manufacturing business. And we know how the market views trading businesses versus manufacturing businesses. This new capacity can drive 500 crore top line. As Manish mentioned, they did about 200 crore last year. Their full focus now going forward is in ramping up manufacturing. They will grow their trading business 20-25% year on year. So I don't expect anything great in FY26. But after that, as their manufacturing ramps up, they intend to really aggressively grow the business. Now, given that they have to do exports from this new sort of capacity, how they crack clients globally is unproven in my view, since they are largely domestic driven clients today. So that's something to track. What I can tell you about the promoter, we did have we got to speak to him for that interview, and I found him very sorted, he's very young, he's like 34, 35, which is unique, I would say, in the SME segment. Very ambitious, very go-getter type, like a very technocratish kind of founder, without say the technology part, but that kind of a ambitious promoter, almost like a founder, you would say. And I think such a founder is worth backing. But again, the gestation period, that is the thing that I'm not sure SME investors will like. So coming to their numbers, they did about 200 crore with 24 crore PAT. It looks quite high for a trading business, but they do claim that they do add some value over and above. But ultimately, I just think that this segment today, nutraceuticals, has very high margins. Even Influx has excellent margins. There currently seems to be a lot of margin in the value chain, since the segment is growing so fast. So I'm not sure the trading business that's sustainable, but probably for 1-2 more years, if it sustains, by then they'll start moving to manufacturing. He did mention that they wanted about 30 crore PAT this year, which gels with that 20-25% sort of year-on-year growth, which is not that exciting, obviously. Their balance sheet and their cash flows are very decent. So this company is coming at 12x, which is okay for a trading company. I think it's fine. I don't see a lot of upside here. This business will only get re-rated, in my view, post the capacity addition. I feel this will trade at least 10, 15 times, in a bad market 10 times, in a good market 15 times for basically all of another year. As the news trickles in that the manufacturing facility is getting set up, it could get re-rated. That timing is very hard to catch. Accent Microcell is a very well-known SME that really went through this problem. Only now I think a little bit of interest is coming back in the stock. Supreme Power is another one where it actually ran up in the beginning and then it immediately came back down to earth, back to where it was when it listed. And now with this finally some signs, and of course they had a very good H2, the market finally is re-rating this company. So it can be a very, very long grind. So I feel if you have a 2-3 year view for this company and don't want to look at the share price, this company can do well subject to execution. There's a lot of upside if this guy delivers manufacturing and delivers higher margins. You'll get a combination of a re-rating because it gets re-rated from a trading business to a manufacturing business, and you will get the sort of exponential growth that the promoter is very, very keen to do. That's his vision, is to do that. He wants to grow very fast. He wants to hit this 500 crore capex in like 3 years, right? That he wants to sort of max out that capacity. So there is a story here. It is clear. There are some execution advantages as well because of what they've done with the SEZ and so on. But just remember that there's a long gestation. This is a 90 crore raise. It's a transitioning business. I am personally worried about listing. I don't know who will come in, with such a long time frame. I feel it is one of those that will probably go down first and then up. And I really don't think this will trade at more than the multiple that it has come at on listing for quite some time. And then as it starts hitting its straps, I think over 9 months, 12 months, it can really, really take off. So that is my expectation here. So I may probably not apply for this company at all, just because I don't expect a lot of listing gains. Smart Horizon has been okay in giving 5%, 3%, 2% kind of listing gains, and then generally the companies fall for some time and then they pick up as the company executes. So it's a long story. People have that patience, go for it. Otherwise, I personally will most likely skip this company. The anchor book was actually pretty decent. I actually saw an Anand Rathi company also in a group, an entity from the Anand Rathi group also in an SME for the first time. So that clearly, I think the promoter has a good, is the kind of promoter people want to back. Just feels a little bit like a VC kind of backing as opposed to something that will start generating numbers soon. So that's my read on this company.
Got it. Thanks. I also have a similar view. I'll just be very candid that this company has all the aspects which it needs to hit in order to be a good success. Like there are a lot of things which are working, which is a good ambitious promoter in a good segment, which will see a lot of tailwinds, which will consumerism is increasing in India. People are getting more aware, and they will and this guy will probably have the least cost structure because of his import agreements at JNPT. So there are a lot of things which are sitting in place in order to take a bet. My only worry is why right now, like, because market will think that, and especially on the SMB side, uh, at least over the last 3 months, what we have seen, people do not want to hold right stock. So that might happen here as well, where simply because there's no appetite for holding this big of a quantity for a SME, there might be struggle here and there. I would still probably take the punt for IPO and apply a few lots. Also because there doesn't seem to be anything else which is closing on 9th, which is better. So I might apply for a few positions, for a few lots, and then probably see from there how it lists. That is what my view is, although Rohit has almost covered his. There is a question with respect to would they produce their own product? No, they'll be white labeling for other companies. Like they'll majorly do all everything, and then the marketing would be done by someone else, is what my understanding is.
That's right. They don't want to compete with their customers.
Got it. Yeah. With that, maybe we can now move forward to the last issue for the company. And like it's since we both have been speaking alternatively, it's getting slightly tiring than what it usually is, but we'll try and see. The last company which we want to cover is TFS, Travel Food Services. Incorporated in 2007, company is an Indian airport travels QSR and lounge operator. Company's brand portfolio includes 117 partners and in-house brands, and further manages operations of 397 travel QSRs across India, Malaysia, and Hong Kong. So company basically travel food services, जैसा नाम से समझ में आ रहा है, at airports, provides foods through QSR as well as lounges. And just setting up the IPO, it's a 2,000 crore IPO. 2,000 crore का IPO है, all of which is of OFS. There's zero fresh issue. Nothing's being going into the company. The promoters are taking a exit. Kapoor Hospitality Group, one of the two promoters, taking a partial exit from the company. In terms of the market cap at which it is coming is 14,500 crores. So उसके basis पे आप देखोगे, so around 14% of the company they are diluting, and they'll continue to hold 86% of the company after IPO. In terms of the FY 24-25 financials, कंपनी का जो revenue है वो 1762 crores है. 1762 crores कंपनी ने revenue किया है. And in terms of the PAT, the company has done a PAT of 380 crores. So basically, companies coming at like 40 PE FY25. We'll talk about the valuations, but at least if you look at the margins are very good, right? Because they majorly serve their food at airports, which tend to be like less price sensitive. Price elasticity is very low. So आप देखोगे around 22% of PAT margin, which is insane for a QSR company per se. And then in terms of the LM is Kotak Mahindra, who is bringing this IPO. So let's try and talk about TFS, Travel Food Solutions. कंपनी ट्रेवल फूड सर्विसेज. सो बेसिकली कंपनी जो है वो 2007 में स्टार्ट हुई है. पहले एक बार कंपनी की बात करते हैं, देन वील टॉक अबाउट द प्रमोटर्स एंड द इंडस्ट्री एट अ हाई लेवल, एंड देन कम बैक टू द कंपनी. सो जस्ट हाईलाइटिंग द कंपनी की कंपनी करती क्या है. सो कंपनी 2007 में स्टार्ट हुई थी एज बॉम्बे प्योर फूड्स, एंड देन दे रीनेम्ड देमसेल्व्स टू ट्रेवल फूड सर्विसेज, एंड दे ऑपरेट ट्रेवल क्यूएसआर्स. बेसिकली जब आप एयरपोर्ट पे जाते हैं तो आपको एयरपोर्ट की स्पेसेस दिखती हैं जहां पे फूड इज सर्व्ड, right? So they take large chunks of these spaces at airports and operate them with different vendors. जैसे कि कहीं KFC को जगह दे दी, कहीं चायोस को जगह दे दी, कहीं Italy.com को जगह दे दी, and they are the one who who manage and operate this. Like after taking on rented place from the airport, they manage and operate these places on their own as travel QSRs, and then they also do lounge business across airports in India, Malaysia, and Hong Kong. So basically यहाँ के जो lounges हैं, which are airport lounges, which are used either by business class passengers or by credit card holders, etc. That is what they operate right now, and they have like close to, and then they also have a few travel QSRs at select highway sites in India, And then they are present at 14 airports in India, 3 airports in Malaysia, and 1 airport in Hong Kong. So total 18 airports is what they are present in. In terms of like अगर मैं QSR की बात करूं, so they have like 26% of all revenue at airports is through TFS. So basically जो भी airports पे food वगैरह बिकता है QSRs पे 26% of market share is with them. The next best player is at like 5 to 6% player. We'll talk about it. And they have like 384 QSR stores, outlets operational across airports. And then like some 30 outlets at a couple of highway sites as well. In terms of like the lounges, it is again the largest network of private lounges in India. Like कि ट्रेवल QSR में भी ये नंबर 1 पे था 26% मार्केट शेयर के साथ. सिमिलरली ये प्राइवेट एयरपोर्ट लाउंजेस में भी नंबर 1 पे है with 28 lounges across 10 airports and market share of 45% based on revenue. 45% of all revenue which comes from lounges is with travel food services. इनके काफी लॉन्ग टर्म वर्किंग रिलेशनशिप्स हैं. दे हैव बीन विद दिल्ली एयरपोर्ट फॉर 15 years, बॉम्बे एयरपोर्ट फॉर 16 years, Bangalore airport for 6 years, and Chennai and Kolkata airport for 11 years. So again, huge working relationships with vendors. In fact, Mumbai airport was with GBK, then it moved to Adani. Through the transition, they have been the vendor who has been managing the lounges there. The company has procured long-term concessions through bidding process for its QSRs. तो बेसिकली इनके कॉन्ट्रैक्ट जो होते हैं वो बहुत लॉन्ग टर्म होते हैं. इनका जो एवरेज कॉन्ट्रैक्ट है वो 8 years का है. अभी जो स्टैंडिंग कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स है, एंड कॉन्ट्रैक्ट रिटेंशन रेट 94% है. बेसिकली ये रिन्यू कराते रहते हैं अपने एयरपोर्ट्स के साथ कॉन्ट्रैक्ट, एंड बिकॉज ऑफ इट दे आर लाइक अ वर्चुअल मोनोपोली. इनके पास पूरी स्पेस है एयरपोर्ट्स पे. एवरी टाइम दैट यू गो इन एट एयरपोर्ट्स यू हैव फूड. दीज आर द पीपल हु यू वुड प्रोबेबली बी एंडिंग अप पेइंग. तो इसका आपको बेस्ट एग्जांपल मैं आपको बताता हूँ. एवरी टाइम दैट यू बाय समथिंग एट द एयरपोर्ट, ट्राई एंड लुक की जो आपको इनवॉइस मिलता है उसके पीछे किसका नाम है. उसके पीछे यूजुअली TFS का नाम होगा. आगे जो भी आपका आउटलेट है, लेट्स से KFC है तो KFC का बिल होगा, पीछे TFS होगा, बिकॉज TFS इज द वन हु इज ऑपरेटिंग दीज लाउंजेस एंड दीज QSR यूनिट्स. सो जैसा मैंने बताया इनके पास सम 384 आउटलेट्स हैं, एंड ये 127 ब्रांड्स की हैं, 127 ब्रांड्स, एंड इट इंक्लूड्स ऑल द ब्रांड्स that you can think of, like some 90 F&B brands that they've licensed from international and regional players like KFC, Pizza Hut, Coffee Bean, Tea Leaf, Subway, Krispy Kreme, Bikaner Wala, Third Wave Coffee, Chayos. And then they have some in-house brands as well, like Cappuccino, Curry Kitchen, Idli.com, Delhi Street, etc. So that's the high level structure of the company. की कंपनी करती क्या है. अब बात करते हैं ओनरशिप स्ट्रक्चर की. कंपनी है किसकी, प्रमोटर कौन है और कौन एग्जिट ले रहा है. सो बेसिकली द कंपनी इज फाउंडेड बाय like it's a JV between two specific players. One is SSP Asia Pacific Holding and the second is Kapoor Family Trust. So SSP Asia Pacific जो है वो SSP ग्रुप की लिस्ट. SSP ग्रुप एक बड़ा प्लेयर है जो कि सेम काम करता है अक्रॉस यूरोप एंड नॉर्थ अमेरिका, विच इज दैट इट हैज इट्स ओन नेटवर्क ऑफ अराउंड 3000 F&B and lounge outlets in 38 countries, and like they wanted to come in India, so they formed a JV with Kapoor Family Trust. So SSP has 49% of shareholding prior to IPO, and Kapoor Family Trust had 51% of shareholding prior to IPO. Kapoor Family Trust is again a London-based group which has which operates close to has presence in 35 cities and has been in the hospitality segment for a big period of time. So there's that MNC wala tadka in this as well, where the company kind of is owned by a London-based MNC, and they are bringing the IPO through a JV per se, very similar to what happened with Aegis and Vopak. This is like Kapoor Hospitality as well as SSP Group. One more thing to highlight, very similar to what happened with Aegis, and I had kind of noted there as well. So इसमें SSP Group जैसे SSP Group जो company है वो that in itself is a 15 crore market cap company. And they have 3000 F&B outlets. This guy has 400, and they are valuing this company at 3000 at almost the same market cap. So अगर आप देखोगे, so SSP group में इसका around 43% of market cap is through this India-based company, although it only contributes like 15% of SSP's underlying earnings, क्योंकि 50% ही shareholding है इसका. तो there is a huge mismatch in terms of what the PE that the companies are getting in India versus the PE that the companies are getting in, let's say, more of developed market. But that's also because India has that huge growth potential, which is not present in developed markets, right? वहाँ पे कितना ही grow कर जाओगे. So the growth is linear there versus here where it can be exponential. So that's one point to kind of remember. Then the second thing which we need to look at is कि SSP group ने इसमें अपनी जैसा मैंने बताया 49% market share है. They have increased this to 50 they have increased it by 1% to 50%. और अब इनकी 50% मार्केट शेयर इसके लिए इनने एक प्री आईपीओ प्लेसमेंट किया 1% लिया एट द सेम मार्केट प्राइस एज व्हाट द आईपीओ हैज केम इन एंड दैट इज आल्सो स्ट्रेटेजिकली डन टू बी एबल टू take control back. Like they have 51%, so they are the majority shareholding of the company right now. And जो अभी OFS जो अभी current selling है, that is all done by Kapoor Family Trust. SSP Group is not selling anything right now. जो पूरा 14% shareholding बेच रहे हैं, that is SSP Group. So that will bring down their shareholding to 36%, and the SSP Group will have a holding of close to 50%, and promoters will still have like 86%. And one thing which we need to remember was this needs to be trimmed to less than 75% in 3 years, क्योंकि वो सेबी वाला लिस्टिंग वाला रूल हो जाएगा कि they need to be less than 75% within 3 years. So expect OFS somewhere down the line, very similar to Sagility is how I'll kind of tell you, although there's a 6-month lock-in before anything can happen. So kind of saved on that part. अब एक बार industry की बात करूं, so if you don't take anything away from this call, this is the thing which you need to focus on. The number of passengers in India are supposed to double from now to FY34. So there is a huge push by the government where they are increasing both on the demand side, more and more passengers are flying. India will become the third largest air passenger market by 2030. In terms of the number of airports as well, the airports will increase from 135 to 205, and there are a lot of brownfield capex. There is a lot of greenfield capex. So नए project बन रहे हैं, जो अभी airport हैं वो renovate हो रहे हैं. So because of which there's a huge push on the demand side as well as on the supply side, which is kind of leading to a huge industry CAGR. So basically travels QSR, Indian airport travel QSR है. According to Chrysler report, it's estimated that it will grow 20% CAGR from 39 billion to 80 billion from FY25 to FY29. So for the next 4 years, the market is projecting कि जो industry है वो ही 20% grow करेगी. So अगर ये player वहां पे बैठे भी रहे with the same market share which it is already holding, it should ideally grow at a 20% in terms of top line. और जो lounge industry है, and again lounges also are very underdeveloped and underpenetrated in India right now. We have like close to 0.7 lounges per airport right now, which is very low compared to what you'll see in terms of like developed market where it is close to like 3 or 4. So the lounge market should also grow at 22 to 24% market share. 22 to 24% CAGR. So the industry in itself is going through huge tailwinds, which just makes this company very, very exciting. Because you just need to sit there and sit. Very similar to what I said on Ellenbury, where like industrial gases tend to grow at 2x the GDP. GDP 8% भी grow होगा तो भी 16% grow होगा. तो this guy is sitting and saying that I'll grow at 20 and 22% just by being in the industry and being the topmost leader in the industry. So that's the company which you are getting in terms of the quality of the business. So the quality is top notch in terms of what the company does. And again, वापस से अब business की तरफ आता हूँ. So as I said, the promoter, can you guys hear me? Rohit has just mentioned that he can't hear me. Maybe he is connecting again. If you can hear me, just give a thumbs up, or I can just look at my connection again. Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay, perfect. ठीक है. So let's move forward. Coming back to the business. About the QSR brand, जैसा मैं बता रहा था, company owns and operates rental spaces at the airports. Partner brand से around 55% business आता है. In-house brand से partner brand like KFC हो गए, उनसे 55% business आता है. In-house brand से 45% business आता है. Total revenue is like 872 crores of the 1650 revenue is from QSR business. The remaining is from lounge business, which is like 750 crores. 750 crores जो आता है वो lounge businesses से आता है, and they kind of, and then there's remaining 75 crores of other income. Other income में इस बार आप देखोगे so there's that number which I didn't like, 37 crores type का adjustment है in fair value of financial assets, which feels one time to me. So that needs to be ignored per se, if you ask me. But that is where the income comes from, and it operates lounges for under its own brand as well as for some of the bigger players like let's say Adani etc. So that is where the company does. अब company की growth कहाँ से होगी? So जैसा मैंने बताया, supply and demand factors are working in the aviation sector, so that should help. Other than that, there are two new airports which are coming up, which are big, massive airports, Navi Mumbai Airport and Noida Airport. दोनों पे the company already has won contracts and tenders for, and these are big contracts like 10 years. So they will do capex there. They'll bring their, they'll start their QSR there, and everything that gets sold will also add up into the top line of this company. So those contracts are already signed. Then, like what they have also said is they'll also look at increasing their QSR, travel QSR outside of airports as well, and probably look at highways where there are now massive structures being built which are a lot more hygienic than what we are used to. So that should also help with respect to adding more top line to the company. Then lounges in itself are under penetrated, so that should also help क्योंकि कंपनी में अब lounges जैसे जैसे इंडिया में बढ़ेंगे, these guys would probably be at the top of it and will serve this industry going forward. And I was saying 22 to 24% type की growth होगी. अब there are a few things which I didn't like about the company. एक बार उनकी बात करते हैं, उसके बाद I'll come to competitors, and that's where I will talk about Dream Folks, because there's a big question with respect to what is happening to Dream Folks. Will this company also go through something similar, or does that impact what Dream Folks share has been on a meltdown? So I will talk about that, but before that, just want to highlight a couple of negatives. One, as I said, the company is doing a full OFS. For me, although it's not a big negative, क्योंकि company has cash on its book. उसके पास 500 crore already हैं cash पे, so it doesn't need more cash, right? So what does it do with cash? The promoter clearly said that they have enough internal accruals to be able to manage the capex in the future as well. So when they have that, I don't look at it as a big negative. A couple of other things which I want to highlight is, one is the 37 CR other income, which just seems to be slightly on the higher side and would not be repeated. Second, I was just seeing before this call that there was some notice with respect to there being an IT demand of like 50 CR. For me, it's an ongoing case, so I won't read much into it, especially because the size of the company is so big. Had it been a smaller size company, I would have been very worried, but I would not read much into it. The third thing, the company also pays a royalty fee for certain of its brand partners, including brands franchised from K Hospitality. जैसे idli.com है, ये उनका खुद का ब्रांड है. पर तो आइडियली आप सोचोगे कि यार खुद का ब्रांड है तो इसकी रॉयल्टी फी तो लगेगी नहीं, राइट? जैसे KFC है, सो इफ यू आर सेलिंग KFC, देयर वुड बी सम एग्रीमेंट, राइट, कि जो भी आप सेल करोगे उसका 10% KFC को जाएगा, 20% या व्हाटएवर XYZ नंबर वुड गो टू KFC. द सेम इज द केस फॉर idli.com, बिकॉज वो ब्रांड उन्होंने बोला के हॉस्पिटलिटी की है, एंड TFS इज मैनेजिंग द ब्रांड. सो इट जस्ट सीम्ड लाइक स्लाइटली ऑफ पुटिंग टू मी. सो दैट्स वन थिंग व्हिच आई वांट टू हाईलाइट. Now talking about the competition. So how do you value this company? Because there are a lot of QSR players and there are listed QSR players, like Devyani is one. Devyani is the one who manages KFC and Pizza Hut. Then you have a Jubilant Foodworks, which manages Domino's and Popeyes. Then you have RBA Restaurant Branch Asia, which manages Burger King. But again, all of these are QSRs in a normal environment. What we need to see is कि यहाँ पे जो environment है, that is this environment is like here you have captive audience. The audience can't go anywhere, right? आप कहीं से भी खाओ, आप KFC से खाओ, आप तुम्हारा idli.com से खाओ, आप चाय से खाओ, पैसा एंड ऑफ द डे TFS के पास ही जाना है. आदमी के पास ऑप्शन ही नहीं है, बिकॉज what has happened is on the airports people are just like are used to paying more because they realize that it's a premium product. End of the day, everyone needs to take out their cost. So if you feel that's the case, then you have to take cost. If you then you need to take eat from the same places only. So that's one thing which I want to highlight. So I don't think these are good peers as such. Then there are lounge players like Bird Catering, Encom Hospitality, but all of them are unlisted as of now. There's no listed lounge player that I can see. I'll talk about Dreamfolks. But before that, in terms of the travel QSR, I think its biggest कॉम्पिटिटर इज HMS हॉर्स सर्विसेज, जो कि अगेन अनलिस्टेड है. वो भी एक बड़ी चेन है विच मैनेजेस अ लॉट ऑफ एयरपोर्ट्स अक्रॉस द वर्ल्ड, एंड उनका एक इंडिया सब्सिडरी है which might do a IPO in the future, and it has like close to 10% of market share. But again, TFS is the market leader in this segment, and TFS is what you will kind of always see as the topper in the segment. So having said that, now let's bring the Dream Folks issue. So Dream Folks में basically कई सारे लोगों का बोलना था कि Dream Folks share has been going down, तो वो भी lounge operate करता है, ये भी lounge operate करता है, तो the market sentiment is bad. I just want to clarify one thing. So अगर आपने lounge use किया हो, तो जैसे आप जब entry करते हो lounge में, तो you pay through your credit card, right? And then there's a 2 rupees transaction which happens, which validates that is your card eligible for a lounge or not. So how it validates is the tech platform behind that is built by Dreamfox. So Dreamfox, end of the day, is a platform company, which what it does, it takes the card, उस पे 2 रुपए का ट्रांजेक्शन करता है, बैंक से वैलिडेट करता है कि इसको लाउंज एक्सेस अलाउड है कि नहीं, एंड देन बंदे को भेजता है, right? And then for every that 2 rupee, the bank pays a XYZ amount, say 800 rupees to Dreamfolks. Dreamfolks keeps a certain percentage of it, around 15%, 120 rupees, and then passes on 680 rupees to the operator of the brand, of the lounge, say a TFS or Adani or anyone, Encom, any one of those. So Dreamfolks, end of the day, is a platform. What is happening is a lot of these private lounge players are saying, hey, we don't need Dreamfolks. End of the day, हम ये tech खुद से ही involve कर सकते हैं. So let's build that tech. Let's work with the banks directly and try and remove this 120 rupees का जो मेरे को कट देना पड़ रहा है, just to validate कि ये बंदा lounge में जा सकता है कि नहीं. So वो tech platform in itself is the existence of that tech platform is becoming questionable, because of which the share is on a meltdown. Having said that, TFS is a operator of that lounge. It's a physical operator. It has nothing to do with Dreamfolks, which is a platform. Dreamfolks is a platform. TFS is a operator. Think of it like जब आप credit card use करते हो, तो Visa Mastercard is the rail on which your platforms happen, right? Similarly, Dreamfolks is that rail on which you are validating their card. Axis Bank is the bank which is issuing this card. Similarly, TFS is the operator which is serving the lounge people and is getting that 680 rupees. So if anything, if Dreamfolks go away for that some reason, these guys will have a bigger share of the pie, because instead of 680, now they'll get all of 800 rupees. So there's zero worry with respect to what would happen if Dreamfolks is to take over. Having said that, for the lack of a better number, there are no peers available in the market. Let's try and compare them with, let's say, a Jubilant and the Devyani of the world. So इस कंपनी ने FY25 में sales किया है of 1700 crores, and Jubilant and Devyani are much bigger. They do like 8,000 crores and 5,000 crores respectively. Ideally, P is not the best number, because again the companies are going through rapid expansion, right? बहुत सारे stores लगा रहे हैं, तो depreciation वगैरह high होगा. So you look at these companies at the EV EBITDA level, and again I realized today that you need to take out other income when looking at them at EV EBITDA, because it just makes more sense. So let's try and do that. One thing to highlight is iska EBITDA around 550 crores hai, even if you take other income out, which is a EBITDA margin of 32%. If you look at it versus peers, Jubilant का EBITDA margin है 19% का, देवयानी का EBITDA margin है 16% का, Sapphire का EBITDA margin है 16% का, Westlife का है 12% का. These guys have lower EBITDA margin क्योंकि आप बाहर वर्ल्ड में compete कर रहे हो, right? You are competing against all the for the inu chinu stores of the world, for the lack of a better word, कि आप अगर मेरे को महंगा दोगे आइटम तो मैं कहीं और से जाके खा लूंगा. That is why you would have seen कि KFC also will have a premium pricing at airports compared to its normal QSRs outside. So the EBITDA margins will always have a higher EBITDA margins at the airport. And then let's see at where it is coming. So it's coming at a EBITDA of close to 25.5 from my understanding. Jubilant is trading at 30. Devyani is trading at 25. Sapphire is trading at 21. So if you take Westlife is trading at 37. RBA is a different लेवल ऑल टुगेदर वो बहुत ही नीचे ट्रेड करता है बिकॉज इट जस्ट हैजंट बीन एबल टू पिक अप बर्गर किंग चेन. इट ट्रेड्स एट 17 ईवी बिटा. इफ यू लीव दैट एंड अगेन दैट समथिंग विच आई ट्रैक्ड वे बैक, बट अगर आप उसको छोड़ दोगे तो रेंज यही कहीं है अराउंड 25 से 30 वाली. आई वुड स्टिल से कि जुबिलेंट एंड देवयानी वाला ईवी बिटा तो उसको मिलना ही चाहिए बिकॉज इट इज rapidly growing and it enjoys a huge EV like EBITDA margin. So उसका भी अगर आप P देखोगे, Jubilant is at 30, this Devyani is at 26, this guy is coming at 25.5. So at the same range as other players are, but having said that, because of the higher EBITDA margin and because of that captive audience, I feel this should get a higher P, a higher EV EBITDA. So market will understand that and try and re-rate it at a higher EV EBITDA because of that exclusivity segment, because of that consumerism where once you have that brand and you are in it for the long term. The lounges will continue to grow at 22%. The QSRs will continue to grow at 18 to 19%. Because of it, it's just an extremely good buy at the IPO price. But having said that, if you ask me what would happen on listing, I have no idea because again, I've been listening to a few things with respect to some specific community not working on this issue with respect to veg, non-veg related discussion. I have no idea. What I plan to do personally is to apply to this IPO to try and get allotment, very similar to Ellenbury. I expect post-listing action. It might come in a day, it might come in a week, it might come in a month, but there would be post-listing issue action. I do not see it being valued insanely expensive. It is expensive. I wish they had left something on the table compared to a Jubilant and a Devyani that would have just made the deal slightly more sweeter. But even if they haven't, I'm okay with paying that same as a Devyani and Jubilant simply because of the EBITDA margins that it maintains and the kind of growth that this guy will show over a Jubilant and Devyani is what my point of view is. Having said that, I have no idea how would it list, but I again would do very similar to what I'd done in Elenbury and Kaltaru: buy a lot and forget. Buy something which you are okay with holding and let it grow, let it compound. I feel this is one of those very good stories of consumerism which should do well, is what my kind of idea is. Shiv is here, so Shiv, idea for you what you need to do. Already discussed, but yeah, that is what my review of TFS was. Rohit, do you have anything to add now? Sorry, I've been speaking for a long time.
Honestly, I think you've covered everything. The only risk is an ultra short term risk, which is all dream folks cracking and creating a negative vibe around this industry. But apart from that, I think your review is valuable.
I'm proud of myself that you have nothing to add on my review.
Absolutely nothing.
Would you be applying? Is my next question.
I will. I will apply a little. It depends now a little bit of liquidity management. So what I feel like I can apply and hold for some time, I will apply.
I would also be applying. And then one more thing which I want to highlight. I saw the anchor book. There was a few questions with respect to anchor being average. I really like the anchor book. There were a few funds whom I kind of really appreciate. Like Pankaj Tibrewal's Ikigai fund was there, and again he's a guy who I really appreciate. So when he was there, it just gives me that more confidence to be able to apply. Then Helios was there, so there were a few good. Then there was the Samsung Consumer Fund or something. But when I saw Ikigai, I was just like, okay, my thesis also being validated by that. But having said that, no idea how it will do on listing. So definitely apply what you can take risk with. I'm hoping this is a slightly liberal allotment issue. I would be applying and then I'll try and see what I can hold for a longish period of time is what I will be applying with. That is what our review is. But yeah, having said that, definitely we will see you hopefully tomorrow or day after, where we will cover the remaining four companies as well. Thank you so much everyone for joining. Have a great day ahead.
Thanks, everyone.